All right, so this isn't just in regards to the bullshit here in Chapel, Nebraska. This old house creaks. This is also in regards to Mandy Hughes and Alyssa Rainwater, Chris Ribeiro, is involving your case too. In the bottom here, I'm going to post the conversations between myself and Mandy, myself and Alyssa, the things that no law enforcement officer would listen to, no law enforcement agency would listen to. I'm going to post up a video called For Peaches the Liar. Miss Peaches is someone I love very much. All of these people are. Police not doing their jobs put an incredible strain on our friendships, on our relationships. Now, that video that I'm going to post, it's not a conversation with Miss Peaches. However, attached to it is over 100 conversations, including with Miss Peaches, including with Brandon Ratner, including with Alyssa Rainwater and Mandy Hughes, including Lori Dale. The things that needed to go to the FBI, but the FBI wouldn't listen because of the term mentally ill. Just like your officers wouldn't listen because of the term mentally ill. The term mentally ill was used as their excuse for not doing their jobs. Meanwhile, ignoring abuse against a mentally disabled person is a felony. You guys are all mandated reporters. Yourself, your deputies, as well as the deputies and sheriff's departments and police officers in Colorado and Washington State and all of these places. All of these officers are mandated reporters. A lot of the things that I've been involved in were in the news. It wasn't just Natalie's death that was in the news. Look up Clearview Behavioral Health on your computer. Look it up. See what's happening there. I reported on Clearview after I left there. Clearview is getting shut down because the things that people said I was a liar for reporting about, they literally killed a man doing those things. And those things happen at hospitals across the United States, including at Scotts Bluff Hospital twice. Twice, not once, but twice. Now, with all of this, I have gone to the internet repeatedly. I have gone to my Facebook repeatedly for a reason. Because going to cops didn't work. Going to your officers didn't work. So I reported on that situation at least 100 times on this very YouTube channel about the situations with Cody Selhorst, about the situations with Jared Hahn, about the situation with my grandmother's funeral. I have a file on this computer called Gma's Funeral. I have another computer right behind me. Let me show it to you. Oh, fucking god damn it! Right here. It's got C2 on it. The computer I'm currently using has C3 on it. The computer that was taken by the Broomfield Police Department when Natalie was killed, that they never returned. They were supposed to return it the next day. But it still, to this day, has never been returned. And I can't go back and get it because of warrants, because police officers wouldn't do their jobs. Public pretenders wouldn't do their jobs. Nobody has to do their job when you're considered mentally ill. Unless family is there to pressure them. Family is there to go in with you to make a police report. But I don't have that kind of family. My family are predators. Not all predators are sexual predators. Some of them are just after money. Some of them just want someone to beat up. Some of them just want someone to take their aggression out on because they had their money stolen, or they were raped, or sexually assaulted, or beaten up. And they choose victims based on who it is the easiest to get away with doing it to. I was repeatedly prevented from talking to my loved ones because of this. I couldn't afford my own food, couldn't afford my own roof, couldn't afford my own phone bill. Police across the United States, I am afraid to speak to because I needed someone to go in with me to speak to them. Brett Roloff, his conversations are here too. Brett Roloff was a witness to much of the stuff that was going on, but he's also strung out on meth. He said that he would go in with me to talk to police in Virginia, which is where all of this fucking started. But he never did because he was strung out on meth. And these are the people that I had to depend on because police officers like yours wouldn't do their jobs. Because of the abuse that I endured at the hands of police officers and mental health facilities, because of officers like yours who wouldn't do their jobs. The system needs to change. The amount of harassment that we all took, myself, Katie Cahill, and many others. The thing that I'm pissed off about is that it took these people so goddamn long. I had to do something drastic to stop the abuse. Every time that I broke the law, literally every single time that I broke the law, it was to try to force the police to take a look at this evidence. Mandy Hughes couldn't go in with me because she had warrants. That is not my fault or my choice or my decision. Peaches couldn't go in with me because she has family to take care of. Candace wouldn't go in with me because she was scared fucking shitless after what happened with Officer Michael Beard and Shelley Campbell. And then you guys use what I was forced to do to defend myself as your excuse for doing those terrible things that I needed to defend myself against to begin with. I tried to do the right thing. I tried going to your officers repeatedly before Natalie died. I tried going to police officers in Colorado repeatedly before Natalie died. I tried going to officers in Chesapeake, Virginia before Natalie died. I tried doing what it is that we were taught in the system to do. We were taught that if you're being bullied, you go to your bully and you ask them to stop. If you're being bullied by people over a rumor, you go to the source of that rumor and you ask them to stop. If that doesn't work, you go to an authority figure like your parents or a teacher or the police. And if that doesn't work, then you walk in pairs, safety in numbers. I didn't have anyone to walk with me. They kept telling me pretty words like just let it go. Did the courts ever let it go? That I had to break the law to defend myself? No, none of these court dates let it go. Rand Ingersoll actually assaulted Amy Kalina Kingery's daughters in front of me. And you know what I did? I reported it on YouTube before I went to the police. because the police wouldn't take it seriously. They dropped her charges, but they didn't drop mine. They wouldn't look at any of the evidence. This very computer here that is chock full of evidence that I needed to be able to use for the last year, last 6 months. Sorry. This computer full of evidence they took from me because it shows what those police officers did wrong by assuming my guilt and being hostile with me. My court paperwork shows that those officers lied. The owner of Tiger Mark lied. Rayanne Ingersoll, her conversation between her and I recently, you can hear what she says in that conversation. Obviously, what the police had to say was not the truth. I had to plead guilty to something that I can't pay. I can't pay $1,500 for something that I didn't break. But I had to plead guilty to that because I can't afford to go to Cheyenne or can't afford to go to Rawlins, Wyoming to make those reports. I don't have a vehicle. I can't afford to go to Cheyenne or Rawlins, Wyoming after what those officers did to me and risk having those officers who are my predators have access to do that to me again. I cannot afford that. Not physically, not financially, not mentally. Is this computer worth that $1,500? You're goddamn right it is, but I still can't pay that $1,500. I can't get a lawyer to go in with me to make them do their jobs. I recorded conversations between me and multiple public pretenders that I had and their offices and the things they had to say. Where these public pretenders would not answer my questions, outright refused to look at evidence, refused to even show up at our court dates or at our meetings, and did not contact me to let me know that they weren't going to show up, knowing that I didn't have the money because I told these people repeatedly, court date after court date, I can't afford to keep coming back. I can't take care of myself. And these officers used the fact that I had to break the law in order to try to force them to do their jobs. They use that as an excuse for not doing their goddamn jobs. The threats and harassment were just the start. It wasn't just threats and harassment. It was actual assaults, repeated assaults. But because of the slander against me, my guilt was assumed. I was forced into severe panic attack after severe panic attack and multiple meltdowns because of this abuse that none of you apparently are capable of investigating, even if it's in your own jurisdiction. Your officers took part in this, Sheriff decoste. I took it to the internet so that at least it was documented. The YouTube that I had before this, I need a judge to unseal it, to force YouTube to allow that forward, to allow that evidence to be shown. Where I begged and pleaded repeatedly for Matty Boa to come forward and make them stop. Where I pleaded repeatedly for Alicia Bollinger to come forward and make it stop. But instead, I had to deal with people who hated me. The Bollinger family was not looking at this stuff. The only stuff that was shown to them from these people who hate me and are investigating and trying to see me put away for life or fucking dead was after all of this abuse, and I had to do drastic shit. I threatened Ted Bollinger's life. I literally did that to try to protect Natalie Bollinger's living relatives, her living siblings, from Ted Bollinger. The things that Ted Bollinger has done repeatedly since Natalie's death. He got all the goddamn help in the world. I never got that help. There were GoFundMes set up to help me, but I didn't set them up. I didn't know how. I needed help doing that. And I didn't get a single penny from any of that. And people keep saying, Sean, if you set this up or you set that up, I'll donate. I can't. I've been trying. Because I'm not able to do those things. Does that make me guilty? Because I don't have the money for a real lawyer. Does that make me guilty? Because your officers didn't do their jobs. Does that make me guilty? Because these drug addicts are good looking. Does that make me guilty? Because I was unable to contact my loved ones. And I was frustrated because of it. Does that make me guilty? Because I now react this way to all of this abuse. Does that make me guilty? I don't need drugs. If you have a great paying job, you're in great health, you have a wonderful, loving family, you don't have people calling you a child molester and a rapist and a fucking murderer, you have a working vehicle, you have money in your bank, and you are still depressed, then yes, maybe you need some fucking drugs. Because you have a wonderful environment and a wonderful support network. But when you are in one abusive environment after another, with drug dealer after drug dealer after drug dealer, and addict after addict after addict, and you don't have the ability to take care of yourself, you don't have the money to do those things, you don't have the understanding with a computer to be able to do those things, you don't have a bank account, you don't need fucking drugs. Drugs are not gonna fucking help. Drugs are not gonna stop the abuse. Drugs are not gonna make it safe for me to walk out this door. A mental hospital is not gonna help me taking me there just long enough to get the diagnosis that you wanted. And after that happened, I made plenty of videos about how stupid it was to have me sent to a hospital like that to diagnose me with bipolar disorder to protect your officers. If you'd have been smart about it, you'd have tried to diagnose me with schizophrenia. And you know what? That's exactly what Boulder tried to do. Boulder County tried to do that because I was trying to turn in their officers. Repeatedly, when I tried to turn in officers, instead of trying to kill myself, I was dragged to the hospital and told I could make a report. And when I got to the hospital, those fucking pigs ghosted on me. And every one of their body cameras needs to be fucking brought to the FBI because this happened across multiple jurisdictions in Wyoming now and Washington state and Virginia. This is the mentally ill treatment. You all profit from this at the expense of the American public, the people who vote you motherfuckers into office. Sheriff Scott DeCosta, if you're a decent excuse for a human being, do something about this. You said that we couldn't get the report from Jordan Anderson because he moved out of state. And then when I had that issue with Cody Selhorst, I was prevented from coming back here because I had to be afraid of warrants for court dates that I was going to. And I would have gone to if I hadn't been incarcerated. That warrant against me that I was picked up on by Adam Greenman was over the shit that happened in Scotts Bluff. And those people in Scotts Bluff got to do it to me again because of that. I never wanted to take this to the internet. I took it to you first. Scott DeCosta, I took it to your officers first, before Natalie was dead. After Natalie was killed, I took it to your officers first, before I posted it on the internet. I took it to you personally first, before I posted it on the internet. What am I supposed to do? I have to take the abuse because of the term mentally ill. It's Cody Selhorst's word against mine, and he's in a different state. And he is going to be allowed to do this to someone else, which is why I am posting this on the internet. Jordan Anderson, if he is a police officer somewhere else, he will get to do this to somewhere else, to someone else. Jared Hahn is going to be able to do this to someone else. And these someone else's are not going to be allowed an honest day in court anywhere because of that. Dropping the charges against me here in Chapel, Nebraska was fucked up. They did the same thing in Boulder County. They dropped the charges against me so that I couldn't testify in court and show what was going on in that very jurisdiction. I couldn't show what was going on in court in this very jurisdiction because you dropped the charges. I couldn't show what was going on in Boulder County because they dropped the charges. And I can't afford a lawyer. Meanwhile, Ted Bollinger, after Natalie was killed, he spent the money that was supposed to be for her funeral to go to Boston on vacation. Both of Natalie's stepmothers told me, hey, Sean, you had more of a reaction to her death than he did. That's because I actually fucking cared about her. I actually love Natalie Bollinger. Not in love. Not in lust, like that sick motherfucker. I actually loved her. And I actually love Miss Peaches. I actually love Lori. I actually love Candace. I actually love these people. I love Maddie Boa. These are the loved ones that I don't get to see, but they're not the only ones. I don't get to see my older brother. I don't get to see Pierre. I don't get to see any of these people, and they're pissed off at me because of all of the abuse that I've endured and the way that I now react to it. trying my best every moment of every day to not have a meltdown, to not fucking hang myself, to not make an explosive to blow my head off. And yes, I know how to do that. When I was learning swords to plowshares, that was an intense educational endeavor to try to learn how all of this military technology works. So I could reverse engineer it and use it for positivity instead of killing. But in that process, I learned how to make military technology. I learned how to make explosives. I have a gun lathe out at Laura and David Nelson's house, and it's broken. But I know how to fix every part of it. Do you know why I bought that gun lathe? So I could convert it to make World War I aircraft engines in miniature. Miniature aircraft engines. You know what that gun lathe that is out at Laura Nelson's was used for? It's a historical piece of equipment. It was used for making firearms in Liverpool, England in World War I and World War II. I hope you watch this. The thing is, Scott DeCosta, is that I tried to go to you, but your officers were heavily invested in hiding their wrongdoing and hiding the wrongdoing of each other. And I would like to believe that you were not involved in that. But if you were not involved in that, then you need to do something to see that these officers are investigated. Officers repeatedly turned off their body cameras. I'm not suicidal for no fucking reason. And there's a big difference between being suicidal and wanting to die. I want to die every moment of every day. And probably 100 times a day, I do think about killing myself. But the way that I am treated for wanting my life to be over is not acceptable. It's not help. It is the opposite of help. It is that treatment that makes me suicidal to begin with. The treatment of me like my voice doesn't matter. Like the things that I'm saying are false because I'm mentally ill. No, I'm overwhelmed. And police across the United States have taken advantage of that. Taken advantage of it's their word versus mine. And they have a badge. And I have a tag on my head that says mentally ill. So my words mean nothing. You know, when I threatened the President of the United States' life, you know what I was going to do? I was going to come up here to Chapel, Nebraska. I was going to pour a bunch of gasoline on the cruiser that you guys keep parked outside of the Dual County Sheriff's Department, outside of the courthouse here. And I was going to light it on fire. Because if I lit two fires in multiple states in one night, I could force the FBI to take a look. That is literally what I was trying to do, is force the FBI to investigate your department. Was Candace afraid of me? No, she was afraid of the police. These people saying they're afraid of me. Why? What have I done to them? What have I done to these people? That's what I want to know. You can come talk to me about me harassing these people, but you won't do a goddamn thing about the people harassing me. Meanwhile, Mandy Hughes is not in this jurisdiction, nor even in this state. Alyssa Rainwater is not in this jurisdiction. She is not even in this state. But the people who harass me in this very town, you've done nothing about. And because I can't trust your officers, and I don't trust you because of the conduct of these officers and the drastic measures that I've had to take to try to force them to do their jobs, I need someone in my corner. I need someone to go to my court dates. I need to be protected from police and from dual county sheriff's deputies. I need to be protected from child molesters and rapists. Now, the first time that you and I spoke, I was calm, was I not? How about the second and third and fourth and fifth? Sheriff Scott DeCosta, every time that I've spoken to you, I have spoken to you as a human being. When I had a fucking meltdown in the Dual County Courthouse, do you know what that was from? That was because I was trying to get Jen Beebe there so that I could have those things with your officers documented. And your officers, who I was trying to turn in, were the ones who drove me to Scotts Bluff, were the ones who lied to Jen Beebe and said that I had reached for their gun and attempted to suicide by cop. I took it to the internet because taking it to you guys didn't work. I took it to the internet because taking it to my bullies didn't work. I took it to the internet because going to the media didn't work. Meanwhile, it was police officers and the Bollingers and the media who took part in slandering my name and spreading this slander that resulted in people harming me because they were lied to. What Jen Beebe did to me that day was harmful to me. But she only did that because she was lied to by your officers. And by me being prevented from going in to write a report about these people. But they're not prevented from doing that against me. That allows them the upper hand. That's like you go and you poke a dog with a stick, and your buddies are also poking this dog with a stick. And everybody's poking this fucking dog with a stick, and the dog is whimpering and screaming for help. And it gets to the point where nobody is helping. And that dog has to defend itself. And it bites you to stop you from hitting it with a stick. And you say, see, that dog is violent. Get out of there, that's not your food. And no, this dog isn't violent. Come here, Walker. Hop up. Good boy. Good. Oh, don't push on me. I got a fucked up back, buddy. Oh, yeah. Good boy. You too, Walter. By the way, Walker here, the little dog, he's looking for a good home. Sometimes he gets scared because he was in a home that he was abused in, and he tinkles. We've been working on him, and he's getting a lot better at it. Mm. Well, see, this is what I needed. I needed love. Asshole. Asshole. Mm. Alicia Bollinger, before I left Virginia, we were having a conversation about the shit that I'd gone through all growing up over the term mentally ill. She said, "You just need to be loved," and she was absolutely right. I literally threatened the people who were threatening to kill me to try to get a court date with Alicia Bollinger, to get her to admit that I never molested her, that I never raped her, and so that I could show the evidence that proves that I never stalked her. But because of the term mentally ill and because I don't have an advocate, these things were allowed to happen repeatedly to me. And that's not okay. I've repeatedly gone from one jurisdiction to another. If I was an actual predator, I could have killed hundreds of people. Obviously, I haven't killed anyone. I could have raped hundreds of people. Obviously, I haven't raped anyone. I could have done a lot of really, really bad things, but I didn't. I exposed every problem that is wrong with our system.